Hi everyone, it is time for another page from the weekly planner. Monday morning planner day. I've just noticed I've got a shadow, that's worse, hang on. I think that's a bit better. Now with this page I decided that it might be fun to use a what's the word I'm looking for? A limited colour palette. I'm just going to put a piece of paper underneath. So I'm going to do all the flowers in the same shades and all the stems and leaves in the same shades. I'm going to be using my Polychromos. I have them on my desk because the last video I made, which was yesterday afternoon's Wonder Room video, I used the polys. They're on my desk, so I'm just going to use them today. They've got the colours that I want, so that's always good. Now I'm just going to pick a plant, colour it and show you the colours I'm using. I won't do all of the whole page, there's a lot going on, and then I will leave you to do the rest, and you can decide whether you want to go along with my colour palette or whether you want to do something different. So I am going to do this plant here and the stem and leaves. It's not all in shot obviously. So start with the actual petals. Now my favourite pinks in the polys are these. Let me find them. That one's disappeared. I'm really confused. Oh, there it is. I'm blind. So what I like using is this pink, which is the it's called Dark Flesh. I don't think it's called that colour in all of the sets. I can't get that out to work. Oh, that's going to be blurred. Sometimes if I turn it around. There we go. So it's number 130. Might be a different name. And I like to use the Carmine. Oh, that's not. I don't think that's not the colour I want. It's this. This is the Rose Carmine. The colour is, the name's gone. And this one is the, something else Carmine. Ugh. I think it might be the light. It's going to roll. You can watch it rolling while I'm looking at them. It can entertain you. This is the pink Carmine. So we've got the Rose Carmine, which is the pinker one. This is the pink Carmine, and we've got the this one, which is the Dark Flesh colour. So those three I think work really nicely together, and we're just going to use those three tones. We're going to start off with our darker one, which is the pink Carmine, or Carmine? I don't know. I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to make a start. I'm going to talk about where I'm going to place this darker colour. And I think towards the bottom of the petal it would be darker because there'll be more shadow. And along this piece, which I'm actually going to do green, as if it's a sort of stalk coming up, although I've managed to colour all over it in pink. But hey, let's not stress. So there we go. I'm just doing a little circular movement to try and help that blend when we put in the next colour. It's going to go up the edge of here. See if we can avoid going all over it this time. And sort of come back down with a little circular action, very simple, and then apply at the bottom of here like that. That's all for that one. Now this petal is behind, as we can see, so along here I feel like there would be some shadow like that, and I'm just going to blend that out a little bit by doing a circular motion with less layers like that. Now in here we have this teensy bit. Again, I'm going to along the edge of that piece, and then a little bit, so where it contacts something else I want it to be dark. I don't mind it being darker, being further in there will be more shadow. And this side a bit up the bottom and all the way up the edge, and then the scumbling movement coming back down. And then we have this bit along the edge of each part, and the edge of there, and the the same with this one, so just along the edges of everything really, and then just sort of some little circles like that. So that's that. We'll put that aside and grab our pink Carmine next. Okay, it's a little bit blunt. I think it might be better being blunt. And where we start to fade, no sorry, this is the rose Carmine. Where we started to fade the pink Carmine, we'll go over that and then still fade out a bit towards the edge, yeah? Now these darker pieces at the back, I'm quite happy to go right over those areas that are white. Fill them right in, like that. But this one, I'm going to leave a little bit at the edge at the top for a lighter shade, like that. And then down here, again back over the top. And then as we go, this is a much larger area to do, so we need to fade quite gently. So just reducing your touch a little bit on the paper, which I know can be tricky, and just doing less layers till the edge. The same on this one. So a little bit less as we go up. There we go. And then we're going to finish with this colour, which, as I say, is called the Dark Flesh in my set of pencils. And the same thing over the top of what's been, as it's faded, and then take it out to the tip. Don't worry if there's a bit of white paper showing, that's absolutely fine. And here we'll go back over the top of what's been done and fade towards the edge. And again, if there's white paper showing, that's absolutely fine. There we go. Okay, now we've got, let's push it up here. I don't know how far I can go if I hit my tripod, a quite long one. This one will be done in the same way. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to show you because I think it'll be a bit too much the same. So I might leave that, because if you want to know how to do it, you could just take the video back, replay it and follow through those steps again. But actually it's quite simple. So at the bottom, and anything that's touching anything with the darkest, then add a bit of the lighter and then the lighter one. It should be quite straightforward. So we're going to, I think we'll concentrate on the green. Now my favourite greens together in the Polychromos are these. Now this one here is the Chromium Green Opaque. I can't imagine that you can see that, even if I put it that way or that way. I don't know. Then we have this slightly darker one here, which is the Earth Green Yellowish, and this is the May Green. Okay, so I'll show you what I'm going to do with those. Now this is the darkest one, so as I say, the Chromium Green Opaque is where we're going to start. And I'm going to mark out areas where I think the greenery will be darker. So here, I'm actually going to zoom out because most of it's out of shot. What we'll do is we will push up as we zoom out. There we go. There. Oh, trying to get out. That's it. So I'm going here where it meets, making it darker here. We've got this leaf piece, and I'm actually going to make it darker at the tip because it hits the stem here, so it's a little bit tricky. But I'm going to put a bit here where this petal would shadow the stem, and the same here, like that. On this leaf I'm going to do top and bottom in this darker colour. So what I do, layer it up a little bit more there, and then less layers here, then very few and a very light touch as we come down. And we've got the rest of the stem ready, so I'm going to put a darker bit there where it touches the leaf, and here. And that's all for that. I'm not going to do too much because these are my favourites. So this is the earth green yellowish, and we're going to move our way up this stem here, but we're going to go about halfway and then fade out. It's probably tricky for you to see because I am zoomed out. And these little ones I'm just going to do about halfway as well and try and fade it, but they're so small, quite difficult to do. This one we're going to go over the top of this edge bit and then draw the colour down towards the stem, and we're going to draw that colour up. Okay, and here I'm going to draw the colour down. Now with this leaf, you probably can't see too well. I'm just not going all the way to the end. I want some of that left really dark, but as soon as the colour starts to fade, I go over it and then reduce, so put quite a few layers over it and then do less and less layers as I come towards the centre of that leaf. And here on the stem, I'm going to go almost over all of the darker colour that's there and then draw that colour down. And leave some space. So now we've gone on to our final colour, which is the May green, and we're going to take this all the way up to the top of this stem part on the flower, and the same on these smaller bits. You may want quite a sharp pencil for this. Mine isn't, I don't know if it's showing up very well. And basically on the stem and leaves are going over all of the areas that we've got left and just overlapping our colour with the darker one really. So I want to fill in all of that white paper that's remaining with this one. And here I go about part the way up. This bit maybe about there on that one. And just fill that in really. It's quite simple. Okay, so that is our first bloom done. This one will be done in a very similar way. Now you may think with just 6 colours, which we can just about see here, we're going to be quite limited, but I'm going to show you this one and how we can make it a little bit different. We will zoom back in for this one. This is small. And this one's quite simple. So we've got these little bell-like flowers and we've got this one stem, and the stem has got these few flowers on it and then it continues all the way down to the bottom, which you can't see, in the same very narrow way. So I'm thinking, because we're quite close to this one here, we want to make these look different, and I think the best way is to take our darkest, whoops, I just knocked my sharpener over, sorry, our darkest pink, and really go for it with our pressure and our layers to make it look quite dark. So this is the pink Carmine, and I'm sharpened it because I can get a much darker colour. Can you see how dark that is? And I'm going to make it quite dark at the top of this little bell shape and putting lots of layers, and then reduce them down a little towards the tip. So hopefully you can see that that fades down a little bit, and we're going to do the same on each. So this is, I'm just going to use the one colour for the little bells, partly because they're quite small, makes it easier, and partly because then it will look different to this one, which has got all 3. So really what you need to think about is the fact that you don't have to use all 3 colours on all of the plants and flowers, so you get some difference. I'm just going to sweep away. There we go. Just a few bits. And yes, if you don't always use the same 3, then they can look quite different, but they will all work together because obviously they've all got the same colours or the same tones in them. Now for these tiny circular pieces, I'm going to use my lightest pink. This is the dark flesh colour, I think it's called. Yeah. And I'm just going to fill in the whole block, but not press it too hard. I want us to be able to see the pink colour, but it doesn't need to be really hard. So there we go. Could have, excuse me, tried to do it darker around the edge and lighter in the middle, which is what I would normally do with a circular type shape, but it's too weeny. I'm not going to worry. Now with the stem, I'm going to use the darker green because we've got the darker pink. So this is the Chromium green Opaque again. Now for this stem, it's very narrow. It needs a sharp pencil. You might even find that you want to go to a different brand. I just managed to snap the top off my pencil though because my sharpener's so full. Oh dear. It's what happens if you don't empty your barrel of your sharpener often enough, is the sharpenings clog up the blade area and your pencil breaks. Now polychromos don't break that often, so now we've got a nice sharp point. So the idea is to fill in this teeny tiny line with this very sharp pencil, like that. And for the leaves, I'm going to keep them all one pencil, but do more layers at the bottom than at the top, so that they do look different shades, but it's all the one pencil. Partly that's a lot easier. Just going to do the rest of the stem because it carries on down here, down through. Down here and here, look. It's wise to do the whole thing. I'm sure you would anyway. I was only thinking I might not do it because of being on camera, but I think I wanted to do it in case I forgot what colour I used. One tip anyway is if you think you're in danger of forgetting a colour, write it down on a piece of paper, pop it in your page. Some people use a post-it and stick it on. I wouldn't do that. I don't like the idea of glue being on my page, so I write it on a loose sheet of paper. Sometimes I pop it in the page, sometimes I keep it in my book, and I sometimes have a sketchbook sometimes where I write things in. I know they're not for writing, but hey. And then you can remember if you go back to it anyway, what colours you were using. But I am going to leave that now. I've shown you a few, so obviously this one I'm going to do this exactly the same as this one, and then I'm going to mix it up a little bit, do all the other plants in these 6 pencils still, but using them in different ways to get different effects and colours and looks, sort of thing. And then I will take a photo for you of the completely finished page. You can have a look, and that's that really. Hopefully that was interesting for you and has got you started on the page. I'm not a pinky person, but I find that these particular pinks I find work quite nicely for me, because they're not Barbie pink, they're sort of more orangey, and I quite like that. But anyway, I should stop waffling on, and I'll get on and finish this page and have a photo ready for you. So thank you very much for watching, and happy colouring.